Hi everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here again today at CT Tactical with Tim Forsey, my friend and expert defense attorney. And today I want to talk about a video we had on the main channel that is not from the US, but we're going to talk about US law with that, about when you're a provoker of an incident versus when you can reassert your right to innocence. Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, you can attend our monthly Active Self-Protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below. So Tim, this was an interesting video on lots of levels, right? So you got a drug dealer from the Netherlands who got in a fight with a bunch of drunks from who were out on a bachelor party in the red light district. Some kind of an argument. Drug dealer says, I'm gonna go get a gun and come back and get you guys. So he does indeed go get a gun and does indeed come back. These guys...
Good to his word. At least he has integrity.
He's a man of his word. But then he comes back. These guys, instead of deciding, I'm so sorry, sir, please forgive me, we're gonna leave, they decide, no, let's have a drunk fight with this guy. Let's throw beer bottles at him and let's do all those things. He, in the video that we watch, again, put a link in the description, is retreating, and then at some point they're kind of getting close to getting around him, and he shoots one of them and kills him, and shoots one other one. Was it one or two other ones? I forget.
He fired rounds. I don't know if he hit anybody else.
I know he hit at least one other person and then ran off, right? He's been arrested and those things. And the thing that came to my mind on that from a legal perspective is, you know, we have laws all over this nation, so we're talking US law now, about you can't claim self-defense if you provoked the incident.
Correct.
You can't claim self-defense if you instigated or were the aggressor.
Now, that's absolutely correct, and Arizona has that statute. In theory, though, there is the option that if you break off the aggression and apologize, make it right, you end the aggressive conduct, and then the other party reinitiates, now you regain your right to self-defense. But that's a really gray area.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting gray area of like, okay, so you can't. So this is somewhat, and we've seen this sometimes because we see incidents that happen on the channel of people that are a deadly threat and then they run off. And now you're going, okay, at what point do they become not an aggressor now and instead they are fleeing?
The legal answer is if they pose a reasonable risk to the lives of other people. So if I just saw this guy with a knife stab 4 random people and then take off running towards a crowd, in theory, he still poses a threat to third parties, and I am allowed to use lethal force to save that from happening. Just like a cop.
It's a Tennessee versus Garner kind of thing.
Exactly. When can a cop shoot a fleeing felon? Exact same concept.
Yeah. But at what point does that happen?
It's always gray. And if you don't have a badge on, it's way more gray.
Oh, there's an interesting bit.
More gray,
well, and I mean, okay, so obviously, hopefully, you know, the number of law enforcement officers who are provokers and aggressors in deadly force encounters is very minimal. But we're talking, okay, you did something stupid, right? You go, all right, I had a road rage incident with a guy. I told him to, pound sand, and I questioned his lineage, and I questioned his species and those things. And then I even, showed him that I had a gun or whatever. And then I decide to get back in my car, and when I close the door, he breaks out the window with a tire iron. Okay, have I reestablished my innocence at that point?
Of course, I would say I believe you have. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what you think.
Matters what the finder of fact thinks.
Matters what the prosecutor, judge, and jury think. Exactly right, yeah.
And so, in your experience, in these kinds of issues, does the prosecutor, are they usually pretty good about sussing this stuff out?
I'll be honest, I've never had to try a case where that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't come up that often, right? Either you're stupid or you're not. Generally, you don't act stupid and then suddenly get smart. So generally speaking, that it doesn't change in midstream. I've read lots of cases where it has. I've talked to lawyers who've had it happen, but I've not personally ever experienced that one. But I teach it, so I think I'm familiar with the concept. But basically, again, I think you can't really have this conversation without talking about the whole concept of citizen's arrest at some point. Right? It's theoretically legal, but why are we having this conversation?
But it's so stupid.
Why are we having this conversation? If you want to be a cop, I'll write you a reference letter. We'll get you into the department. But what in the hell are you doing chasing somebody down or trying to arrest somebody? That's not your job.
I guess the only time I could maybe see that is, somebody say if they threaten you with a knife, you draw a gun and say, drop that knife. They drop it and you go, get on the ground. And they do.
But now what?
Okay.
It's like a dog chasing a car.
Right,
What
so-
are you going to do when you catch it?
You know, I caught him. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to stay here.
Do you have cuffs? Do you have a friend to watch your
No,
back?
no.
How long is it going to take the cops to get here?
I'm just going to stay here until the cops show up. Like,
Miraculously, 5 years ago, that might have been 6 minutes. Now it might be 60 minutes.
it might. Well, and hopefully if you say I have one at gunpoint,
They'll hurry, but it still could be.
But
I
it
mean,
could.
I don't know if you saw, but the city of Chicago just released their response times on 911 calls yesterday. It was abhorrent. I mean, it was shocking.
Here in the city of Phoenix, I know enough Phoenix cops.
Yeah.
Our response times on priority 1 calls are
Yeah.
something like 36 minutes.
It
right
used
now.
to be 7,
Yeah.
and now it's up to about 30 or 40, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's just the
And,
reality.
and,
of
and
things.
people say, well, I guess I'll hold them at gunpoint for 30 or 40 minutes.
Really?
Really? Have you ever wrestled or boxed?
Yeah,
Do you know
I
how long
mean,
2 minutes is? Because 3 minutes into that, when the guy says, hey, look, man, you let me go, and you'll never see me again, I promise you. But if the cops come, when I bail out tomorrow morning, I'm going to come back and rape and kill your kids. What are you going to do now?
Yeah, now what are you going to do? So, I mean, okay, so that situation aside, I think the big idea here is if you find yourself in a place of stupidity, that you've done the bad thing, immediately stop doing the bad thing.
And of course, I think one thing I feel like we need to mention quickly about this video is that this is in the red light district. It's a bachelor party.
The rules of stupid are getting
You're
broken.
mixing alcohol and drugs. And guys, just because it's Amsterdam and it's legal doesn't make it unstupid,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
plenty
So-
of legal things are stupid.
Yeah, alcohol and drugs. What's the very first physiological effect of alcohol on the human body? Judgment.
Judgment impairment.
And so, do you really want to put yourself in a life or death situation where somebody has a gun when your judgment is impaired? And from what I saw in this video, severely impaired.
Yes, that's stupid,
I mean,
stupid.
drunks are stupid. And don't mix alcohol and violence. Don't mix drugs and violence.
Well-
God forbid guns. I mean, what are you
And listen,
doing?
the red light district is not about drinking. The red light district is about sex.
In
okay?
theory, yeah.
So now we're mixing sex, alcohol, and stupid people.
So we've got literally drugs, alcohol, stupid people, and hookers, and a gun. Gosh, what could go wrong?
Whew, what
So to me,
what could possibly
again,
go wrong?
not to be mean about the dead person in this video. I'm sure he's got a mom, and I'm sure he's a good
Yeah.
guy and all. But it's natural selection. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of stupid going
Yeah,
on.
it's a whole lot of stupid. He's out of the gene pool now.
But if you find yourself and you get into that place where, oh no, I've provoked this. Maybe your emotions got the better of you and you decide that guy needs to be taught what for because he parked his car stupid, or he bumped your wife at Applebee's or something like that. I've seen it. Guys
Oh,
get
yeah.
mad about it and
Oh,
they
yeah.
want to have a fight. You push some guy really hard
Yeah.
and tell him, again, that his parentage and his lineage are not legitimate or something. The answer is the second that you realize that is eat your ego.
I practice this in front of a mirror. It's hard for a loudmouth lawyer, but I've literally practiced this in front of the mirror. My wife is so clumsy. I'm so sorry she spilled your beer. Can I buy you a new beer? And then I go home and make it up to my wife with a dozen roses or whatever I got to do. But practice eating crow. Practice being wrong even when you know you're right.
Well, and okay, I'm just going to be honest here. I think if you are strong enough in your own sense of self that you realize, oh no, I am being a colossal jerk right now, to be able to go, dude, bro, I just realized I am being an asshole right now. I am so sorry.
That will
Please
literally
forgive me.
disarm 98% of all problems right there.
Let me buy you a beer.
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah,
that. Hey,
exactly.
my bad. Like, let me buy you a beer.
And even if, and that's great. I mean, that self-introspection is priceless. But what if they are being the jerk? Okay, so what are you going to gain by being right? Just still
lifestyle
admit you're wrong, even when you know you're right. Pray that they get hemorrhoids under your breath, and buy them a beer. I mean, you know.
And again, though, if you're the provoker, the second you realize that, oh no, let me get out of here.
Right.
Let me stop that. Hey, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gone. And then that, I think, from a legal perspective, certainly makes things better because
If it spins up, it's you. I mean, if you lose your temper and you push somebody and they pull a knife and you have to shoot them, even after you've been stabbed, you're going to prison.
it's gonna be tough because you provoked the fight.
It's going to spin up. So yeah, you just simply, and if you realize you've provoked it, like you just said, do everything you can to disarm it. Yeah.
And at some point, can you reassert innocence? Yes, but the bigger thing here is to be a good person and not stick yourself in that
You
fight.
don't want to be in that argument. You don't want to be in that whole gray area of, gosh, don't I get my self-defense rights back, Mr. Prosecutor? It's a bad place to be.
And listen, you're hearing that from the guy that you will pay $500 an hour to actually defend you in those things. So if you do that stupid thing, that's how he feeds his family.
Which is true. It is I always tell people, before I give you this advice, realize that the fox that's about to go into the hen house is talking to you about table manners. So I appreciate it, but I really do. I'd much rather not have those cases.
Yeah,
I mean, let's not have carnage and violence and evil, So
be smart, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
You bet.